The twin suns of Delta V burned high in the sky, turning the outpost's sand to gold. Cade wiped sweat from his brow as he stepped into the trading pit. He wasn't looking for trouble. All he needed was fuel, just enough to get his old cargo. Haul her off this dustball planet, he carried only one thing worth anything: an old military canteen. Solid titanium, a relic from Earth's last war. Rare, valuable, and sentimental. But out here, sentiment didn't buy fuel. The trader's booth was made of rusted panels and old bones. Behind it stood a wrinkled alien with gray-green skin and 6 fingers. His black eyes glinted as Cade placed the canteen on the table. Not much, Cade said, but it's pure alloy. Should fetch a good trade. The alien didn't even glance at the canteen. Instead, he nodded toward the back room. Fuel. No. But I can offer you something more. Interesting. Cade frowned. What kind of interesting? The trader hissed through sharp teeth. A female. Rare breed. Found in a wrecked cruiser near the cliffs. Alive. Cade blinked. You want to trade a woman for a canteen? She's not from here. Doesn't speak. But her eyes. They glow. You'll see. Cade hesitated. This wasn't what he came for. He didn't deal in people. But he was broke. And if she was alien, maybe she knew something, maybe she had value. Or maybe he could help her. The trader led him behind the curtain. There in a dark corner, she sat on the floor chained. By the ankles and wrists, head bowed. Her skin was smooth and pale lavender, almost glowing under the low light. Her hair was long, dark blue, tangled like seaweed. She looked small, too thin, her ribs showing, as if sensing him. She slowly looked up. Her eyes locked onto Cade's hand. He froze. They glowed. Not with light, but with something deeper, older. Her eyes were green gold and filled with something strange. Not fear, not pain, but hunger. Touch her if you want, the trader chuckled. She won't fight. Cade stepped closer, crouched. Dawn, can you hear me? He asked softly. She didn't answer. Her lips were cracked, but she didn't seem weak. Her gaze stayed locked to his, sharp and steady. Cade reached out. His fingers touched her wrist. Her breath caught and something invisible pulsed between them. Felt it in his skin, like electricity, like heat. She whispered, voice barely a breath. You touched me. That means you're mine now. Cade flinched. What? The trader only laughed behind him. Enjoy your prize, human. Deal's done? Cade stood quickly. Wait, what does that mean? The trader had already turned away. Against his better judgment, Cade took her with him. He carried her to his hauler, wrapped in an old cloth. She didn't resist. Speak again. She stared at him the entire time. That night, in the silence of the ship, Cade sat across from her, near the engine room. He offered her water. She drank slowly, never looking away. Who are you? Sighed, rubbing his face. You don't belong in chains. I'll find someone who can help you. Maybe get you home. She blinked slowly. I don't have a home anymore. He stared at her, startled. You speak English? Not learned, she said, absorbed. He didn't understand. She closed her eyes. You touched me. Started the binding. Cade shook his head. Binding? Look, I just bought you to get you out of there. That's it. No one owns anyone. Her eyes opened again. You don't understand, my kind. If touched, if claimed, the one who touches becomes prey. Not just to me, to all. He frowned. What are you talking about? She leaned forward slightly. You will be hunted, because I didn't kill you. Because I accepted you. Cade stood. Uneasy. Look, I don't know what kind of game this is. Suddenly he gasped. A burning pain shot through his arm. He looked down. His skin was glowing. A symbol, tribal and circular, was forming just under the surface of his skin. It glowed gold and green, just like her eyes. He stumbled back. What the hell did you do? She didn't answer. She simply lowered her head and said softly, it's already begun. Asterisk, the pain in Cade's arm didn't stop. He stood in front of the mirror inside his hauler's washroom, shirt pulled down, sweat on his face. The mark was still glowing green and gold, shaped like an open eye wrapped in a circle of thorns. It pulsed, like it was alive. He tried scrubbing it off. Soap didn't help. Water burned. Nothing worked. Behind him, the alien girl Sero watched from the doorway. "That mark," she said softly, "is not a wound, it's a sign, Cade." Turned sharply. "A sign of what?" She stepped closer, her bare feet silent on the metal floor. "Your skin carries my bond. You are now mine." He stared at her, heart pounding. "Look, I don't know what your people believe, but I don't belong to anyone. I helped you, that's all." Her glowing eyes narrowed slightly. "Didn't help me. You traded for me." He looked away. He had no answer. Sarah walked past him, sat near the heater unit, and curled her knees to her chest like a child. Her voice turned distant. "In my culture, touching the skin of an unbonded female starts the prey mark. You are now claimed. And that means others will come." "Others?" Cade asked slowly. "Who exactly?" She tilted her head. "My people. My sisters. They will see the mark. They will hunt you." Cade felt his stomach turn. "And what happens if they catch me?" Sarah replied without emotion, "They will rip you apart." He let the words hang in the air. No dots. No silence. "Hey, just wait. Then tell me how to remove it," he said. "You can't," she replied. "Only death ends the bond. Either yours or mine." For the first time, Cade truly looked at her not as some fragile creature in chains, but as something deeper, something not human. She wasn't trembling. She wasn't weak. She was waiting, and then the proximity. Alarm sounded. Cade rushed to the control panel. On the outer radar, a small craft had just landed. 3 life forms. No identification tags. He turned to Sarah. "Friends of yours?" She stood slowly. Her eyes lost their glow for a moment. "No, hunters." Cade grabbed his jacket. "We're leaving." But when he stepped toward the exit hatch, his mark flared with heat. His legs locked up. Pain shot down his spine. He dropped to his knees, shouting. Sarah rushed to him, grabbing his shoulders. "You can't leave me." "I wasn't," he growled through clenched teeth. "I was trying to get us out." The pain faded, but the message was clear. The mark. Didn't want him to leave her behind. She helped him up. Her touch was cold, but firm. "We need to hide." Cade shook his head. "Can't hide. If they can track you, they'll find us no matter what." "No," she said. "They're tracking you now? The mark makes you easy to find." "Then what's the plan?" he snapped. She looked around the ship, eyes scanning every panel, every pipe. "You're a mechanic?" "Yes, engineer," he said. "Ex-military." Her gaze met his. "Then you'll survive." She led him into the storage bay. "We can mask the signal, but I'll need something alive." Cade raised an eyebrow. "Alive? Like what?" Before she could answer, the ship shook. They were here. Footsteps echoed on the sand outside, voices in a language Cade didn't understand. Guttural. Clicking like bones scraping against stone. Cade reached for his old pulse rifle. It still worked, barely. Sarah looked at him and whispered, "If they see me with you, they'll assume I've accepted the bond. And they'll kill us both." He looked at her. Then at the glowing mark. Then at the door. "You're the one who said I'm yours," he said. She stepped in front of him. "Then listen. Let me go out first. If they sense hesitation in me, it may give us seconds." "I'm not letting you go alone," he said. She looked into his eyes. Softer now. "You already did once. Don't repeat it." The outer hatch hissed. Voice called in that strange language, sharp and angry. Sarah turned to the door, shoulders straight, head high. "Stay here," she whispered. Cade's fingers tightened on his rifle, ending twist through the small viewport. He watched her walk out. 3 aliens stood in the sand, tall, armored, glowing tattoos across their faces. One of them stepped forward and Sarah didn't speak. She knelt. Cade's heart stopped. Then her glowing eyes looked straight at the ship. She wasn't surrendering. She was marking him. It's hers, and the hunt had just begun. The sand outside was still moving when Sarah returned to the ship. Her steps were slow, but her face was calm. Too calm. Cade watched her in silence, his pulse still racing. She closed the hatch behind her and locked it, not with a button but with a small knife she had taken from one of the hunters, jamming it through the door's manual lock. Blood was on her hands. I gave them a message, she said quietly. Cade stood. Are they dead? One as the others ran. Her voice was steady. They'll report back. Others will come. Cade didn't say anything for a moment. Then he looked her in the eye. You said they wouldn't stop. She nodded. They won't. He turned away, ran a hand through his hair. Then I need to get off this planet. I need to get out before your entire tribe shows up, he started. Toward the control panel, but before he could touch the navigation screen, the pain returned, that burning sensation in his arm. Right where the mark was, it flared up like fire licking through his veins. He dropped to the floor, gasping, his back arched. Sarah rushed forward, kneeling beside him. You're trying to leave without me? Cade gritted his teeth. I wasn't. I was just... You were pulling away, she said softly. The bond reacts to that. The mark doesn't allow distance. Not yet. He looked at her, angry. Then unbind it. Break it. I didn't ask for this. She didn't answer. Instead, she placed a hand on his chest, right above his heart. Her hand was cold, but her touch made the mark stop burning. You. Didn't ask, she whispered, but you touched me. That started everything. Cade leaned against the wall, breathing hard. So I'm stuck now, forever. No, she said. There is a way to end the bond. He looked up. How? She looked away. Death. He laughed bitterly. That again. The silence stretched for a long moment. Finally, she stood. I'll show you something. She led him to the back of the hauler, past the cargo bay, to a hidden hatch in the floor. She lifted it open, revealing a small pod with old survival gear and a buried data drive. What's that? He asked. A message, she said. From my mother. She warned me years ago. Yeah? If I ever felt the bond form, I had to choose. Choose! What? Sarah looked him straight in the eyes. Kill the prey. Or protect it with your life. Cade stared at her. What did you choose? She didn't look away. I'm still here, aren't I? Cade's jaw tightened. Why? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she walked over to the window and looked out toward the burning horizon. I was supposed to bond with someone else, she said. Someone chosen by the tribe. Strong, powerful. A male from the bloodline? What happened? I refused. Cade stood beside her. So they chained you? They punished me, sent me on a ritual hunt, but they never meant for me to survive it. The ship was meant to crash. He blinked. They used you as bait. She nodded, until you came. Cade stayed silent for a long moment. I didn't mean to help. I thought maybe you deserved better than a cage. Sarah smiled faintly. Even if you meant to resell me, you didn't. That matters more than your plan. Cade looked away, ashamed. You don't know that? I don't need to, she said. The bond chose for me. He turned to the control panel again. We need to leave this planet, both of us. She walked to him, this time gently. Then let me help. But never try to run without me again. He nodded, ending twist, as Sarah moved to the system's monitor. The ship's scanner blinked red. Another ship bigger was descending toward their location. This time, it wasn't scouts. It was a full tribal hunting craft, and they weren't here. For her, they were here for the prey she chose to protect. The ship's alarms buzzed softly, warning of the incoming craft. Cade stared at the screen. The vessel descending wasn't small and it wasn't subtle. Its tribal pattern stretched across the hull in thick crimson stripes. No stealth, no negotiation, just a signal. We have come to claim what is ours. He turned. To Sarah, that's your people. She nodded. That's not just any hunter craft. It belongs to the Blood Clan, the ruling caste. Cade's jaw clenched. Let me guess. They're not here for tea. No, she said. They're here for me. But more than that, they're here for you. To correct what they see as a sin. A sin, he asked, voice rising. What sin? I didn't do anything. You touched me, she said calmly. And I accepted you. He stared at her, frustrated. You keep saying that like it means something. Sarah stepped forward, her voice low. To my people, touching an unbonded female starts the ritual of prey bond. But when that bond is accepted, it creates a blood debt. Debt with who? She looked away. With the clan. With every hunter in my line, you are marked, and I am bound to protect you. But by choosing you, I've broken the law of my people. They will not only hunt us, they will declare me dead to them. Cade stepped back, shaken. So what do we do? Fight them all. No, she said. We run. For now. He watched her carefully. Why are you still helping me? Sarah paused. And then, for the first time since they met, her voice softened into something fragile, because when I was in chains, you looked at me like I was still alive, not a thing. Not a trophy? No one has ever done that. Cade looked away, ashamed. I was going to sell you. But you didn't, she said. And in my world, intent doesn't matter. Actions do. Outside, the ship landed with a deep rumble. The sand shook. Its tribe had arrived. Cade turned to the weapons locker. What happens if we're caught? She answered without blinking. They will strip you, hang you upside down in the sand, and carve the mark off your body while you scream. And me? They will tear the skin from my arms so I never hold prey again. Cade froze. Sarah stepped close. That is the law of the clan. Ancient, unforgiving. And you'd still stand beside me? She didn't hesitate. I already did. Felt a strange pull in his chest. Not just fear, not just survival. Something deeper. Respect. Trust. Something he hadn't felt in years. I'll go with you, he said. Whatever it takes. They grabbed what little they could, ration packs. A pulse pistol. A camouflage net. Sarah pressed her hand against a hidden panel in the ship's wall, and a small hatch opened beneath their feet. An old tunnel, she said. From long before I was taken, leads out toward the Stormlands. As they dropped into the tunnel, they heard the metallic hiss of the outer door being forced open. The tribe had entered the ship. Cade turned on a small wrist light. What happens when they find the ship empty? They'll follow the scent, she said. But they don't know the old paths like I do. They moved quickly through the narrow, winding path. The walls were etched with old tribal symbols, some glowing faintly, others scratched out. Cade ran his fingers along one broken carving. What's this? Sarah paused, then said quietly, It was my name. Before I was. Erased. Cade looked at her but said nothing. They kept walking. As they reached a fork in the tunnel, Sierra stopped. They'll catch up by nightfall, she said. Unless we use the ritual shield. Now what's that? She pulled a small stone from the pouch tied to her leg. It pulsed with soft light. It'll hide the bond signal. But only for one night. Cade frowned. Then we better make that night count. They stepped into the side passage and sealed it shut. Darkness surrounded them. Only their breaths. And the heartbeat sound of the stone filled the air. Cade sat down beside her. Tired, his back against the wall. Sarah watched him. You're not like the males of my kind, he said, closing his eyes. I get that a lot. She tilted her head. You don't command. You don't try to dominate. Cade chuckled. Maybe because I'm too busy trying not to. Die, she smiled. It was small, quiet, but real, ending twist as they rested.
Alice.
Sarah's hand brushed against Cade's arm, and the bond mark flared again, brighter this time, pulsing softly between them. She looked at it, then at him. This isn't just a mark anymore, she whispered. It's becoming something else. The Stormlands began where the sands turned black. Cade had never seen anything like it. The sky above rumbled with slow, deep thunder, but no rain fell. Only wind, wild, hot, and filled with ash. The horizon danced with strange lightning that touched the ground without warning. He adjusted his scarf and kept his head low. Behind him, Sarah moved fast, her feet sure even across the broken stone. Her eyes stayed locked on the jagged cliffs ahead. They won't follow us here. Asked, raising his voice over the wind. They will, she replied. but slower. The Stormlands aren't friendly to anyone who bleeds. He looked down at his own scraped hands, the bruises on his arm from crawling through the tunnel. Great.
Oh.
She suddenly stopped and crouched. Her hand touched a cracked rock, then slid it aside to reveal a shallow pit. Inside was a faded cloth, satchel, and a bone dagger. Cade knelt beside her. That yours? My grandmother's, she said. She survived the last exile. Not all who came back did. He studied her face. Syra looked different out here. Her hair moved with the storm. Winds, wild and sharp. The mark on his arm throbbed again. You okay? He asked. She didn't answer at first. Then she said, the bond grows stronger the longer we stay near. Is that bad? She looked at him. For you, yes. When the bond completes, your scent will never fade from my blood. The hunters will track it forever. They will never stop. Cade sat back. So, what you're saying, this will never end? She was quiet, but her silence said enough. Suddenly, a sharp whistle tore through the air. Cade jumped to his feet. Sarah grabbed his arm and pulled him down. In the distance, through the whirling dust, 3 tall figures moved along the ridge. Their armor shimmered like glass. Their blades curved like hooks. Scouts, she whispered. They've reached the edge. Cade gritted his teeth. Then we keep moving. They ran. Through broken terrain, over shattered stone, past ancient bones long buried under black dust. Sarah moved with speed and grace, but Cade stumbled often. His breath grew heavier. Legs burned. She noticed without a word. She stopped and lifted him over a sharp ledge by his arm. Her strength surprised him. You're stronger than you look, he muttered. You're heavier than you act, she replied. They didn't smile. Not this time. A few minutes later, Sarah led them into a small cave hidden beneath a fallen rock arch. Inside, the air was cooler, still dry, but quiet. Sarah sealed the entrance with a dusty cloth and pressed her ear to the wall. They haven't seen us yet. Cade dropped to the floor, panting. That's lucky. No, she said. That's the bond. He looked at her. What do you mean? Sarah sat across from him. The bond between prey and huntress creates a sense, a pull. When danger is near, the mark warns both. If the prey dies, the huntress feels it. If the huntress dies, Cade finished the sentence for her. Then the prey is left unclaimed, easier target. She nodded. Cade stared at the glowing mark on his arm. So what happens if I start to trust you? Really trust you? Syra tilted her head. Then you'll survive longer. He laughed once, tired. That's a start. She looked down at her hands. I wasn't supposed to be this. I was born to become a bloodwife, a breeder for the elite line, but I refused. I didn't want to be claimed. I wanted to fight. So you got punished? I got exiled, she said. And now, the bond I tried to avoid found me anyway. Cade met her eyes. Maybe it found you for a reason. She didn't answer. But her gaze softened. Outside, the wind howled again, louder this time. Then something moved past the cave. A shadow, close. Cade grabbed his pulse pistol. Sarah held out her arm. No, she whispered. They'll smell the heat. He froze. Listened. 1 second. 2. Then the shadow passed. They waited a full minute before Sarah removed the cloth from the entrance. The ridge was quiet again, but only for now. Ending twist. Just as they stepped out of the cave, Cade felt something wet on his face. He wiped it with his fingers. Blood. From above. He looked up. One of the hunters was waiting, blade in hand. Sarah reacted instantly, shoving Cade aside and leaping up the rocks like a wild animal. Cade hit the ground, looked back. Cade saw the hunter crash down on top of her. She didn't scream. She roared. Asterisk. The rocks shook with the force of Sarah's scream. She wasn't fighting like a soldier. She was fighting like something ancient, something bred for war. Her claws raked across the hunter's chest, breaking armor. Her knee drove into his ribs, and her jaw snapped close to his neck. Just inches from ripping it apart. Cade watched, stunned. From below, the hunter struggled, but Sarah was faster, stronger, more desperate. With one final thrust, she flipped the hunter off the ledge. His body hit the ground hard, a mess of armor and blood. Dust curled around him like smoke. Cade got up slowly, breathing hard. His arm still burned from the mark, but now he ignored it. Sarah climbed down, limping. Her side was bleeding. "You're hurt," he said, rushing forward. "I've bled worse," she replied. But her breathing was heavy. Cade helped her sit against the cave wall. He opened the medkit, hands moving fast. "Hold still." "You shouldn't touch me now," she warned. "Why?" "Because after a kill, the bond is unstable. The prey begins to feel what the huntress feels." He paused, then continued anyway. As he wrapped her wound, a strange cold sank into his chest. A sadness that didn't belong to him. A deep, burning ache, like betrayal. It wasn't his pain, it was hers. He looked at her face, pale and wet with sweat. "You're hurting more than this injury." She didn't speak. Cade whispered, "Tell me." Sarah looked away. "I wasn't just exiled for refusing the bond. I was exiled because I bonded to a human 10 years ago. He saved me during a battle. I touched him. Started back then. But he left me behind." Cade froze. "He abandoned you," nodded slowly. He didn't know what it meant. "I tried to explain. He ran, and they punished you for that. He said I chose a weak creature, a creature unfit. I shamed my bloodline." Cade sat down beside her, quiet for a while. Then he said maybe they were right. She turned sharply, eyes narrowed. He sighed. "I didn't rescue you because I cared. I traded for you because I thought maybe I could make something off your story. I was tired, angry. I saw a deal and I took it." She didn't move, didn't blink. Cade continued, "But every moment since I touched your wrist, I've changed. I can't explain it. Maybe it's guilt. Or maybe it's because for the first time in years, someone looked at me like I was worth saving too." Sarah looked away. Her voice was small. "You were prey, but you stayed. You fought beside me. That changes the law." "What law?" "If prey protects the huntress in battle, the bond becomes something else. A vow." Cade frowned. "A vow for what?" She looked into his eyes. "Life, mating, death, loyalty. It binds us both." He swallowed hard. She reached into her pack and took out a ceremonial blade, small black stone, curved like a fang. "Do you want it?" she asked. "I can end it here. The bond, all of it." He stared at the blade, then at her, then at the mark glowing on his arm. "No," he said softly. "I don't want to run from this anymore." He placed the blade back in her hand. She blinked. "Surprised? Then what do you want?" He exhaled, slow. "I want to protect you, not because I'm forced, because I choose to." Sarah's lips trembled just slightly. She hit it fast. Then she said, "If you choose that, you don't get to leave ever." Cade nodded. "Good. I'm tired of leaving." Ending twist. Suddenly, distant explosion rocked the ground. They rushed to the cave opening, far away. On the edge of the horizon, the hunting craft was on fire. Smoke rose into the sky. Sarah's eyes widened. They called in a death order. "If they can't take you back, they'll destroy everything in this region, and we have to stop them." She looked at him, unsure. "You mean fight them?" Cade picked up his rifle, loaded the last power cell, and offered her the fang-shaped blade. "No," he said. "We end this." She took the blade in silence. Then, without another word, they stepped out, together prey and huntress, no longer running. The smoke rising from the horizon turned the sky blood-red. Cade and Sarah stood side by side, the wind pulling at their clothes, dust whipping past them like ghost hands. The tribal hunting ship was in flames, but it wasn't defeated. It was lashing, outburning everything nearby, calling reinforcements with every coded burst. "They'll send more," Sarah whispered. "How many?" She looked at him, voice steady. All of them. Cade checked his pulse rifle. 1 power cell left. Cracked casing. But it would last 5 shots, maybe 6. Sarah held her fang blade tight. They won't stop until your body is cold and my blood is drained. Then we make them fail. They moved down the slope, through the burnt fields where the last sparks still danced in the air. The hunting vessel loomed ahead like a dead god, half buried in its own wreckage. The ground throbbed with tremors, not from damage, but from something beneath. They activated the blood call. Sarah said, "What's that?" "A summoning ritual. Only the oldest tribes use it. They'll come not in ships, but through. The ground? Tunnels? It's older than fire." Cade wiped sweat from his brow. "Do we run?" She looked at him calmly. "No. We end the bloodline here." Before he could argue, the ground cracked. Hands dashed forefingered. Tattooed strong burst from beneath the earth. Then arms. Then armored torsos. 4 hunters emerged one after the other, surrounding them in a half circle. Sarah stepped forward. Blade raised. The lead hunter removed his helmet. He was older than the others, eyes pale, face lined by years of war. His voice was like grinding stone. "Sarah of the broken bond, surrender the prey in return. Your death will be swift." She didn't flinch. "No, you betrayed the bloodline. Chose my bond. That makes it true. You chose a human. I chose a warrior." The hunter's eyes turned to Cade. Then he dies first. He raised his spear, but Cade moved faster. He threw his last pulse round. The blast hit the ground at the hunter's feet, knocking 2 of them back. Sarah leapt. She struck the 3rd in the neck, spun, thought, and drove her blade into the 4th's chest. It happened in seconds. Blood sprayed across the sand. The mark on Cade's arm burned hotter than ever, then dimmed. The bond had accepted. Something not just survival sacrifice. The last hunter stood, blood dripping from his arm, and roared, "You'll die with him." But Sarah didn't fall back. She dropped her blade and stepped between the hunter and Cade. "I would die for him," she said softly, "but I will not die today." The hunter lunged and Cade pulled her back, then jammed a broken power cell into the sand at the hunter's feet. The small explosion was enough. When the smoke cleared, the hunter was gone. Sarah lay on the ground beside Cade, her arm over him, her breath shallow. He looked down at her. "You all right?" "I'm tired," she whispered. "You've earned it." He sat in silence as the sun began to rise again, warm and golden across the torn desert. For the first time, there was no sound of hunters, no echoes of war, only peace. Cade helped her up. "You saved me," she said. "No," he replied. "You saved me first." She reached out and touched the mark on his arm. It shimmered once and then faded. "You're free," she said quietly. He looked down. "It's gone." She nodded. The bond fulfilled itself. "You protected your huntress. The vow is honored." Cade didn't speak, just stared at her, this alien who once sat in chains, who fought for him, bled for him, and chose him when no one else would. "So," he said slowly, "what now?" Sarah smiled, a real smile, soft, almost shy. "Now," she said, "we write new law." They walked back toward the hauler slowly, side by side, not captor and captive, not prey and predator, but something new. 2 souls bound not by blood or mark, but by choice, by trust, by fire, and the galaxy. For the first time in its long, cold history, had no word yet for what they had become. But soon it would learn.